I always found it very difficult to come to a place like this and a place like Bundaberg because it's really cold.
Really?
Like, how do you handle the cold up here?
Oh, geez, this isn't cold.
No, that's what I mean. I left Brisbane a couple of days ago and we left something like 33 degrees and I thought I'll just move to a place where it's going to be nice and I think temperate would be the weather.
Yeah.
Tell me, where are we? Like, what's that?
The Burnett River.
That's the Burnett River. So where does that flow into and out of? So where are we coming from here?
About 5 k's that way takes you up to the mouth there at Burnett Heads.
Yeah.
And then this flows right through into the Wide Bay Burnett area, up through into Eidsvold, Gayndah and those sorts of areas.
Yes. Is that what it's called, Eidsvold?
That's
But
it.
I've been mentioning Eidsvold over the last couple of days because I know I want to get there. And the reason why, I've heard that they're pulling down the TV antennas.
Oh, okay.
So that they don't have any mainstream TV.
Yeah.
So I thought I might go there and just sign up everyone to come onto the Waffles and Whiskey page and they'll be able to...
I love that name. So I was watching some of it the other day.
Oh, the Waffles and Whiskey?
Yeah. I was watching one with John on it.
We've got an acquaintance in common, John Morgan. How do you know that rapscallion?
Oh, I've known John's family for a long time. Yeah. Local Bundaberg family as well, and and John's nephew Marcus used to be a workmate of mine. Yeah,
and I think what we want to do is that because this is part of the Marcus mission, and you're part of Marcus mission, I just want to have a chat to you about your story. You sound like you've got. I don't even know. I have no idea what your story's about. John just said, just do this. It happens in a couple of hours. Just do it. And I went, okay, I'll do that. What I want to ask, Paul, firstly, your last name. You gave me your last name, and it was something like, Bombarderi or something.
Yeah, Baumgartner.
Baumgartner.
Yeah.
Well, so that's an interesting name. Where did that come from?
My grandfather was Swiss. He came across from Switzerland in the 1920s.
Yeah.
And set up home base here in Bundy.
So B-O-M-B, Gardner?
No, B-A-U-M. It's actually...
Baumgartner.
Yeah, Baumgartner. It's the German. Yeah. But it got anglicised and it's become Baumgartner.
Baum. Isn't Baum a tree?
It is, tree gardener.
So you're a tree gardener?
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I'll just call you the tree. Why don't you just say that?
My name's Forrester.
Forrester, yes. My name's Paul Forrester. That'd be a lot easier than Baumgartner.
Oh, isn't it? My poor wife went from wood to Baumgartner.
Oh, so even tree, wood, the whole thing's just meant to be. So what I want to ask you is, this might be a bit of a tough question for you, but what's your earliest memory of life?
Oh, I suppose it goes back to one of the old photos in the family photo album as a kid, and it was me sitting on my bed, surrounded by the little golden books. You remember the old little golden books?
I'm not that old, mate.
Oh,
yeah,
come
of course
on.
I do. Yeah, little golden books.
Surrounded by dozens of those just on the bed. And I just remember my parents reading them to me all the time. So, as a little child.
Did you actually become a reader after that? Because I know some people don't have parents. Like my parents never read to me. They kind of just said, here's a stick, here's a wheel, go and play with that. So I wasn't a very good reader. But did you then become more literate as the years went by and you engrossed yourself into books?
Yeah, I think the foundation was there. So, it just kept going.
So, okay, that's at what age that you remember?
I remember that I would have been 2 or 3 around that age, yeah.
That's your earliest memory?
Yeah, it is.
Did you have the beard then?
No, that sort of came in the teenage years.
Have you always had the beard?
No, it's probably the last 6 years I've had the beard.
Yeah.
Had a bit of a stint in hospital and got lazy and grew the beard and thought, I'm keeping it now.
Keeping that.
Yeah.
I'm keeping that sucker. It looks good. It's hiding all my scars. So tell me then, if you think about, where we are now, we said this is the Burnett River.
Yep.
I know the producer who's watching this, who's putting some maps on top of each other. So we're in a place here called, I think this is called the River Cruise Cafe.
River Cruise Cafe, yeah.
And I think this is owned by council. Because I asked the guy here, I said, I noticed yesterday I wanted to set up a little bit behind me.
Yep.
And there were some people just doing some gym work. And he said, we don't look after that. That's part of the council. So why did you move to Bundaberg?
Bundaberg born and bred.
No.
Yeah. My parents are Bundaberg people as well.
Yeah.
And the extended family. Yeah.
Not everyone here does rum though, do they?
No.
It's just a gimmick, isn't it?
No, we used to say, because as soon as you say to someone, I'm from Bundaberg, the rum.
Oh, the rum.
Yeah, we've got 3 taps, hot water, cold water, rum.
Oh, okay. makes it easier.
Yeah.
So earliest memory, 2 years of age.
Yep.
Let's go a bit older. Let's go your school years. What was that like?
Yeah, I don't have a lot of memory. I mean, I remember all my teachers and everything from primary school. Most of my school memories would be high school, I suppose. Get your teeth into it a little bit more there.
Okay.
So,
were you a smart ass?
I did all right at school, but not a smart ass. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
sort of middling.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Were you part of a group?
I was, yeah, but I was one of the good lads. I didn't play up too much.
You weren't like because there's always like the cricket crowd,
Yeah.
then there's the football crowd, and then there's the nerdy guys over there.
Sort of one of the obsolete little obscure ones in the middle there.
So you bounce from one to another.
That's it.
Okay,
yeah.
so that's your school years. Did you go to uni?
I did, yeah.
Okay, here at Bundaberg?
I did first year here in Bundy because they were testing the waters at that stage. And
what does that mean?
They only had a first year of certain programs here.
Yeah.
So they did education, arts and business here in Bundy for first year. Then you had to move off to Rockhampton to complete the degree. So I did first year here. Yeah. And then, went up to Rocky for a couple of years.
Yep.
And then started teaching.
Oh, so you're a teacher?
I was a primary school teacher, yeah.
Primary school?
Yeah.
Seriously, I kind of like think when somebody says teacher and I think children, and I just go, how do you become a teacher? Like, or not become, but how do you handle just being a teacher? That's got to be the worst job in the world.
I suppose it goes back to that, where you asked me about earliest memories. I always knew I wanted to be a teacher.
Yeah.
It was just something I as I said, big family. My mum was one of 11, Dad was one of 5.
Okay.
So there were cousins everywhere. Yeah. And I was one of the older ones. So, I always knew I wanted to be a teacher.
Okay. So when did you retire?
2019.
Okay. So let's go. Youth, reading lots of golden books.
Yep.
Going into your school years, not part of a big group, but you kind of like bounce like a pinball machine from one group to the next group. You then got into your university. You did your, what's it called, Teachers Guild or something?
Oh, it was just your teaching degree.
Teaching degree?
Yeah.
So you did that, Bachelor of Teaching or something?
Yeah, and then did my Bachelor of Education as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you did that. So you're around 24, 25 is when you began your teaching, or 18, 19, 20?
Around 21 I started. Okay,
21. Yeah. So tell me what happened from there. Let's get into your story. So what happened from the teaching to why we're sitting here today, or standing actually? Yeah. Because no one would get us a chair. So why we're here standing today and having having someone like John Morgan, who's a mutual friend of ours.
And an absolute legend.
No, let's not go that far. Okay? let's just keep it to friend at this stage. Yeah. We won't go for legend just yet, right, John? So how did it then come to us having this chat here and you getting in contact with John and Marcus Mission? Talk to me about that story.
Oh, yeah. As I said, I've known John's family for a lot of years. Oni, John's sister, was a teacher as well. Yeah. So I'd sort of known the family round the ridges for quite a long time. Yeah. Oni and Mark's kids went through the school that I was a teacher at here in town, and so I knew the kids from there. And then eventually Marcus became a teacher aide and worked with me, and we worked with some fairly interesting little tackers.
As you do.
Yeah, and we developed a really great rapport in the classroom and a great bond. Okay. So, worked with Marcus for quite a few years. And, got to know the family through that.
Okay, so you know Marcus, obviously through John's sister, Oni.
Yep.
John obviously started up Marcus Mission. How many years ago was that now?
I think it was 2018 we started to get the ball rolling on that one.
Okay,
yeah.
And did he come and approach you? Like, I know John was doing some programs up here.
Yeah.
And was doing the Bundaberg region for Marcus Mission. And then you just went, I want to get involved.
Yeah, well, as soon as they announced their, inaugural meeting, I suppose, here as a planning type setup to see whether the boat was going to float here, I suppose, whether we could get a chapter of it going. I attended the first meeting and I've been going ever since.
Yes. Most people who join up with Marcus Mission have a story to tell, meaning they may have gone through some anxiety or anxious situations. They may have suffered through some trauma. Yep. They may have had an addiction. What's your story? Because I don't know anything about Paul as it is. So what's your story to get you a solid foundation so that we, the people that are watching this can go, okay, I get where Paul's coming from.
Yeah, well, through the teaching thing, I progressed on to being a school principal, and certain health issues and stuff in the family started to trigger a little bit of stress in me, and it sort of snowballed. And it was 1999 that I was first diagnosed with anxiety and depression, and sort of rode that roller coaster for quite a few years then, and ended up giving away the principal's work and going back into the classroom and working mainly with special needs kids or behavioural needs kids. And and then sort of trying to juggle my own mental health through all of that.
So let's go back to Okay, you were diagnosed with anxiety and
Yes.
depression.
Yep.
Prior to that, did you think you were anxious and had a form of depression prior to getting diagnosed?
In the months leading up to it, yeah, I knew something wasn't right.
Right. What were
Yeah.
the triggers? What was going on?
Yeah, work pressures, and also, as I said, some health issues within the family.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was enough to make things start to slide, I suppose.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I want to get a little bit deeper into
Yep.
the things starting to slide. Give me some examples of what was going on. Like when you say things are starting to slide, were you kind of like, missing appointments, not turning up, not wanting to wake up and go to work? What were some of the things
lack of motivation, not being able to sleep, really bad eating habits. Yeah, all those fairly stereotypical things which I should have probably recognised a little earlier, but it took me a while to sort of get to a point where I needed to talk to a doctor.
Okay, so the doctor, you went to the doctor and he said you need to go and see a specialist.
Yep.
I'm guessing, and he sent you off to, was it a clinic or he sent you off to a
Well, to start
site?
off with, it was a medication thing for me, and medication got under control for quite a few years.
Yeah.
And then, I probably went 15 years managed with medication before things started to slide a little bit further on and I needed to engage some professional clinical help.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so the sliding is that you felt that there was lack of motivation, didn't want to get out of bed. How many times did you hear people just say to you, mate, just get over it, just get up and get over it?
Well, that's an interesting one because most people didn't even know. I was really good at that facade.
Yeah.
So people outside of my immediate family probably wouldn't have ever realised. And in fact, when it did get to a point where I walked into my boss's office and said, mate, I'm walking out today and I'm not coming back for a little while. I just need some time. And he said to me, why is that? And I said, I've got anxiety and depression and I'm an absolute mess at the moment. And he said, bullshit.
Right.
And, because game face was always on at work.
Yeah.
Which was, and it was so physically and mentally exhausting that when I'd get home of an evening, my family started to call the front lounge room in our house the bear cave.
Yeah.
Because that's basically where I'd walk into when I got home. And I would sit there for literally a couple of hours and just not communicate because I was drained. The batteries were flat. I had nothing left to give because I'd been putting on a show all day, especially, teaching kids. You've got to keep that entertainment factor going. And, it was taking a bit too much of a toll, I suppose, in the end.
I want to be honest with you, and I've been honest with John in the past too. I struggle with you put the facade on, and while you had the facade on, what I'm struggling with is that if I'm sitting there and I'm being taught by you, or we're having a beer together, I'm not to know, am I?
No.
Like I can't even reach out and say, mate, you're not yourself today. Like you're looking a bit off. Are things okay? Like I wouldn't notice that.
No.
And what you're saying is that you put this game face on.
Yep.
The curtain's open, showtime's on, you're out there, big smiles, you do what you have to do. But then everything stops, it closes, the curtains close, and what are you left with, darkness? Or I just want to know.
It is like the batteries are flat. You've just got nothing left to give. Movement's an issue. Thought process to even talk to people, you just don't have that. The batteries are literally drained from the day and you just need to power down, I suppose, is the best way to put it, and just get yourself to a point where you can just re-engage with your family, which was a tough one.
If you weren't taking medication, would you still be able to function with anxiety and depression if you weren't on the medication? Could you be able to train your brain to say, you know what, I can medicate myself, or I can do activity, get myself involved, join groups, connect with people?
So, and that depends on the person. I know for me that doesn't work. I need that intervention of the med. And my GP explained it to me beautifully. He said to me, those chemicals in your brain that you need to balance out your emotions and your joy and engagement in life are like a water tank, and you're low at the moment. And he said, just thinking that you want it to rain and fill that tank isn't going to fill it back up again. It just doesn't happen on its own. You need something to pump it back up again. And that's where he explained to me about the medications I needed to be on to help fill that tank.
So you couldn't just go, come on, Paul, for God's sake,
Snap yourself out of it, you silly bastard. Yeah,
because I think there are people that might be watching this that will say, I go through those periods.
Yeah.
But I bounce back.
Yeah.
I have this, what is it, that, that clown balloon that you kind of like you punch and it falls over and it comes back up.
And that's life.
Yes.
We need those levels of stress in life. There's that critical stress factor that we need in life in order to function, excuse me, and engage in life. If we don't have stress to some level, we don't engage fully.
So a person that says to you, mate, I don't get stressed, are you, in your head, are you going,
bullshit.
You do? Bullshit, right.
Yeah, everyone gets stressed to a certain degree, but there is healthy stress.
Yeah.
And then there's that other side of it, and that's where I was sitting all too often. Yeah. So I needed that intervention to help me see the other side of that continuum, I suppose.
Here's another struggle that I have. I struggle with the word, what's the difference between sadness and depression?
Sadness is just that emotion, just like happiness, and, it's something we all experience. But depression is where that emotion starts to stick for too long and doesn't have logic or reason to it anymore. I mean, there are times when we're sad, when relationships are in trouble or work's a problem. Finances. Yeah. We all get sad, but it's when that emotion sticks and you can't get yourself past that or can't see a reason for it, that's when it becomes an issue.
Were you self-harming?
No, but thoughts were there.
Okay, talking about those thoughts, as in what? I want to cut myself, I want to, I just want to be able to...
I'm always really careful about discussing those things, so I don't want to trigger anyone else.
No, that's good.
I had definite plans and came to a head one night where part of my plan was hidden in a cupboard and my wife found it.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So that's when it came to a head. And I ended up in a mental health clinic at that point and got some fantastic help and engaged with a doctor that I'm still, a psychiatrist that I'm still seeing today. Absolutely brilliant woman.
So we kind of like say, if it wasn't for the wife, there could have been this discussion may not have happened.
That's right.
So if it wasn't for that intervention or that thing, were you angry? Like, were you angry at your wife? Like, how dare you find that for me? Because we go through, we know we go through different emotions.
I don't recall that.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, because when there is that absolute numbness that you get at times when you're at that point, where you just don't feel anything anymore.
Yeah.
And I think I was at that point because I don't recall any emotion at that critical point in our relationship.
Yeah.
I don't recall any emotion on my behalf of, anger or disappointment that, she'd caught my plan or, I don't remember.
I want to go back to where did it begin? Like, if you think about, here you are at 2 years of age reading a golden book.
Yep.
You're bouncing around like a pinball machine, jumping from this group to this group. You said your school years weren't that great memorable. There wasn't anything that happened there that would have triggered where your depression would have come from.
No, not at all.
Nothing. You go into the Teachers Guild or, the education department. Yep. Everything's running rosy. Everything's fine. And I know you said things like, the battery is flat. At what point? What is it? You sometimes call it a defining moment. It's you go, you know what? That was it. That was the day I went on holidays and I just felt that I wasn't enjoying the sunrise anymore.
I think it had been such a steady decline in there. I can't identify that point where...
So it crept up on you?
Yeah, where the shit hit the fan sort of thing. Yeah, I can't think of that point. It crept up on me. It literally did. And just, gave me that whack in the back of the head. And, you just slide backwards from there.
It's interesting because, like you say, it's a slow incline. You're getting to a point where you're just going, I don't know, things just don't feel right. I think my homeostasis, the way that I'm sitting and I'm feeling the way that I am right now, just doesn't feel right. It's not the same. It's okay. It's probably a phase I'm going through.
And because you go through so many phases in life too, and changes in job and changes in family circumstance and everything, it sort of all rolls in with it. So it's hard to pick what the circumstance was or where you're at that point in your life to cause that set of circumstances.
Mate, because when we talk about this sort of subject here, it is tough. But I think the problem is also is that we don't talk about it enough.
No.
And what we tend to do is that we just go, oh, you know what, let's just leave that alone. I just heard an interesting statistic the other day, is that since COVID, the 3 years since COVID, Australia has the highest rate of increase in suicide ideology. There are more people over the ages of 65 that are thinking about those thoughts, those really dark thoughts. And the worst statistic that I heard was that 36% of men over the age of 85 have suicide ideology. What you saw in the last 3 to 4 years, are you angry that that happened, and the result of that happening, locking down people, keeping them isolated, you can't see me, I can't see my family, keeping us away from our borders? Do you get angry that there is a body of people that says, nah, mate, I don't care how you feel, I don't care about you relating to your mother or your father, we're locking you down, don't give a shit about your mental health? Because that's what it was.
It was, yeah. And I suppose from the viewpoint that I'm working with now, I don't get angry with that.
No.
I'm at a point whereas I'll work with what I can given that situation. So if there's a group of people I can reach out to, or a group of people that I can influence,
yeah,
I'll just take that as what I can at that point in time.
Yeah. So the Bundaberg region here, how many members? Oh, members. Look at me talking. It's like a group, isn't it? It's kind of like a group, and it's a great little membership group, isn't it? You know, it's nothing to. It doesn't cost anything.
No,
it's just turn
just
up.
very informal. Yeah.
So there are so many different, you know, ranges of illnesses that people have. What are you finding? What are you finding is prevalent
in terms of mental health
up here in Bundaberg?
Yeah, it's that depression.
Is it?
Yeah, generalised depression disorder. Yeah.
Triggered by what? Can't be all the same. So
it's not.
Yours crept up on you.
Yeah, I mean, given the blokes that we work with, we have, you know, as you said earlier, substance issues.
Yeah.
You know, which can trigger that depressive frame of mind. We have PTSD sufferers. People going through relationship breakdown, employment factors. Yeah, it's a real gamut of different things that we deal with here.
I want to ask you a serious question on this one here. I do a show every morning for my father. He's 91 years of age.
Yep.
And within that show, I call the people who are joining me, like they're on here right now, I call them degenerates, deplorables, reprobates, pathetics. As a serious note, if there's somebody that's watching this and I've called them out and called them a deplorable or a degenerate, is that harmful?
No. I don't see that. I mean, somebody would have to be in a fairly poor frame of mind for that to have an effect on them. And sometimes I find, especially with blokes, that banter is what we engage with. Yeah. And that's sort of, you know, where we try and hit blokes with, you know, their engagement with Marcus Mission, is that blokey banter and that talk that blokes can engage in with each other.
Oh, mate, I've been to one. There's no limits.
No, it's great.
No one holds back.
No, I had one of the local members of Parliament drop in on a meeting once, and he came for breakfast, but he stayed for the meeting afterwards. Oh. And he walked out afterwards and went, "Oh crap, they'll talk about anything in there." I said, "Yep, that's what we're after."
I think I get some of my best jokes and memes from the Marcus Mission. the stuff that's being sent around, I'm just going, wow. And I think that's healthy between blokes, though, isn't it?
It is, yeah, and that's why we've made it a men's-only group at this stage. Yeah, because they're our big target audience. They're the ones with the highest suicide rates, the highest mental health rates, the highest jail incarceration rates. Yeah. So, blokes need our help.
Yeah, and we talk a lot about this, male, what is it, this
toxic masculinity. I hate that term. It annoys me.
Yeah, and here we are. We're talking about people who are deep down in the trenches. You know, we're the ones that are. You know, and I'm sure there are women in amongst all that, but mainly it's the men who are, you know, doing the hard yards, saving people from tops of buildings, building roads, getting across the bridges, and making sure that things are working. And yet we get this. Here's two blokes having a chat, and there could be a woman walking past, and here we are having a bit of banter, and she could be just sitting there listening and just going, "You blokes are a bit aggressive towards each other." And yet we were having banter. and they would see it as us being toxic because, and I don't understand the word toxic.
I don't either, because blokes relate to each other at a different level.
Totally.
Yeah. And, you know, keeping it surface level, politically correct, doesn't...
Fuck that.
Yeah, fuck that. Blokes don't engage with that. And, you know, and it's great to, you know, have a group of, you know, 12 to 20 blokes sitting there and just talk about what's real without any of the PC stuff.
I noticed you said at the moment it's 4 blokes. Does that mean that maybe down the track, future, there might be an introduction that will invite some women? Now, it's not off limits to women, is it? It's just that if a woman turns up, it's, well, you're going to fit in with the group. We're not changing anything.
We actually don't welcome women in. I know that sounds horrible.
No, it doesn't. No.
No, but we actually had a lady show up at one of our workshops thinking that she was going to get some advice on how to deal with her husband. And she at that stage, we were running 2 sessions in a day, morning and afternoon. And she stayed for the morning session, and then the facilitator of that day had to say, look, really sorry, but this is a men's only workshop. And the reason, and I've had mothers approach me wanting to come and come with their, you know, late teen, early 20s son because they're struggling with his mental health and his engagement with the world, whatever. And so they've asked if they can come along because they know if they bring him, he'll actually show up.
Right.
And it's hard at that point to say, I'm really sorry, but no.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got to remember that some of these guys have been in pretty toxic relationships, struggling with relationship issues currently. And some of them just, they need to be in a male environment and not have women around them just for that one morning that we're there per month. And
we don't want them woman-splaining. we don't want to be sitting here and they're just going, now hang on a minute, Paul. You just need to you need to retract a little bit. Can you close your legs because I can see like your crown jewels there.
That's right. And I know it sounds in today's political climate, it sounds horrible to say it that really sorry we don't accept women in, but you know it's just something we need to do for that.
Interesting. You know, in today's climate, we don't accept women in. It's like, I mean, can you and I go into a woman's gym? Like, you know, there's, sorry, mate, you can't come in here. But I guess you can if you identify as a woman.
Oh.
What, did I? What, you don't like, like... all
that 32 genders and stuff. I mean, for me, I struggle with that concept. I know there's people out there that do have gender issues, and but I still have to get my head around that. I'm very old school.
It's funny, isn't it? You know, people, and you're a hell of a lot younger than I am. What I would say, 45?
No, 50.
50. Okay, I'm 5 years out. I'm 5 years out. And I'm thinking people of our age group, you know, you're a Gen Xer. And are we old school? I mean, I don't want to go back to the old school, like the old school, not having a phone or not having the internet.
Yeah. Oh, no, couldn't do that.
You know, where am I going to get all my information from?
Yeah.
You know, where am I going to get off? You know, seriously. Yeah. So I don't want to go back to old school, but I think your old school mentality is that you're pretty conservative and you're a gentleman at heart. You still like to open up car doors.
That's exactly right.
Is that it?
Yeah, the values that underpin things. Yeah, I'm old school when it comes to those values and those expectations. Yeah.
Can I ask, are you married?
I am.
So your wife will be watching this and she says, open car doors. The bugger won't open a car door for me. He says when he comes home,
she knows I'm a gentleman.
Where's my beer? He says, where's my beer every time I get home? It's great. And I think that's what's really important. Mate, are you up for taking some questions? I mean,
of course,
there's always going to be people on here. So I'll just get, there is a producer on here on the other side. Everyone knows he's called the Stig. Well, I'm calling him the Stig.
The Stig.
You remember the Stig?
I do remember the Stig.
Did he expose himself one day? Was that what happened?
You mean take his helmet off?
Yeah. Square Eye 64 says, I think guys can be a little bit guarded when there is a female present.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do we do that? Why can't we just be us? Because women are women. You know, we walk past look, I'm going to generalise here, but we walk past a bunch of women and they're all talking at the same time. I don't know how they listen to each other, but they do.
They do, yeah.
They're very good at that.
Yeah, blokes can't do that as well.
Blokes can't. Us, we're kind of like, when I'm doing stuff like that, I'm kind of like trying to boil an egg. And it's like, can you turn the music down?
Or take the egg off.
Take the egg off. I'm trying to boil water here. Yeah. You know, it's really important for me. So why are we guarded?
I think we've been, brought up with that male identity, I suppose. And of what's expected of us as males and the way that we act around women, and that strength, I suppose, that we're supposed to show as males. And a lot of blokes still struggle with that, showing vulnerability or weakness in front of women.
Okay. Here's a good hard question. This is a hard question for you. What is a man?
That is a tough one. Yeah. And that depends on the bloke you're asking too, doesn't it? It's a full continuum.
What is it?
I don't have an answer for that one. I mean, as I said, I'm old school, so I grew up for a long time thinking that, the man was the protector and provider of his family. He had a set role in that family, and, these were the jobs he needed to do to establish a strong family unit.
Okay.
And then, a couple of years ago, I had some health concerns and I had to give up work, and not bringing in an income and not being the provider for my family, that stung for a long time. I really struggled with that loss of identity.
Did you feel like you were less of a man?
Yes. Right. Because I wasn't providing for my family.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because there'll be a lot of younger women who'll go, I don't need a man.
Yeah.
I don't need a man. I can do everything on my own.
Yeah.
Until it comes to changing a car tire, or changing the oil in the car. Do we still change oil in cars? I wouldn't know. I get a woman to do that. But it's interesting how you said, "Wow, it's a continuum." Like I don't know what that means. Like when I asked you, "What is a man?" and you're thinking back to that, that hunter-gatherer, that provider, that protector, the one that doesn't want any harm done to the family. You will sacrifice yourself for the family. Correct?
Yes,
that's
correct.
What it is. All right.
And then there are other guys that won't identify with that, and they'll be equalitarian in terms of the partnership role that they have with their wife, partner, whatever.
Yeah.
So they'll have a very different perspective on what a man is there.
Yeah.
So, that's what I meant by the continuum there.
Excellent, mate. Don't put your hand in front of the camera.
Oh, that's a good one, wasn't it? You can see I'm not used to a camera.
No, I'm kidding. See, and that's the banter that we can have.
Yeah.
Right. And then after this, what will happen is we'll go and have a rumble, and you'll give me a Chinese burn and a horsey bite,
yeah,
and it'll be all over. So I think that's where the struggle, because there is that. I don't know whether you saw it. Matt Walsh, he's on Daily Wire. He did a documentary, which was called "What Is a Woman."
Okay, no, I haven't seen that.
Men and women struggled to just identify what a woman is, and they'll say things like, "Oh, a woman is anyone who wants to identify as a woman." So an athletic sports person who was once an AFL player, a male who now identifies as a woman, I see you smirking there, who now identifies as a woman, we will accept and allow that man, because he identifies as a woman, to play in a women's team. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's one that I struggle with.
Okay.
Yeah, because, I believe that all of life here on Earth is male-female.
Okay.
It's binary.
It's binary.
Yeah, so I struggle with anything outside that concept.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
So then let me put this to you. So the woman who came and said, I want to be able to join the group, Marcus Mission, and I want to sit in and maybe I can get some good tips. And you're saying, look, I'm sorry, this is only open for men.
Yep.
And then next month, she then turns up and she goes, how you going? I'm a bloke now. What do you do now? So now the discrimination part's going to come and you're going to go, sorry, we need to see your bits first. What do you do? I want to know. Because I need some help with this one here.
Yeah, I need some help with it. I really don't know what I would do in that regard.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Well, mate, we need to ask. We need to ask the deplorables here. They might have to help us out. What would you do? So somebody comes, g'day, how you going? I was coming to you last month.
My name's Louise.
My name was Louise. It's Lou now. And what do you do? Do you allow them in?
I suppose. Oh, that is a tough one.
It's interesting. It's interesting.
Because
this is where it's getting to.
Yeah. See, and I know I have to think in terms of the benefit of my larger group and the blokes that I'm there to work with. So, I have to put their interests first to a certain degree. So,
all right. It's tough.
I'd probably have to ask Lou to stand outside while I had a chat to the blokes and see what they want to do.
Really? Yeah, it's where it is. You could always say, let's go to the toilet, mate. let's just go. How you going, mate? What's going on?
That's where I phone John and say, John,
Yeah,
the ball's in your court.
The ball's in your court. That's what you should say to her. The ball's in your court.
Balls.
All right. I think we need to take a break and go to some questions here. PC says, I would love men to open my doors and pull out my chair.
Yeah. See, I still do that.
Get them to pull out their own chair. They're able to. No, I'm kidding.
I did that at work one
you?
day. I had to do something in the office, and there was a group of teachers there, and I was sitting on a chair, and this lady walked in, and so I stood up and said, you can have my chair. And she said to me, are you doing that because I'm older than you or because I'm a woman?
Yeah, I'm doing it because I'm polite.
And that's what I said.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I'm doing that because it's the way I was brought up, to be polite.
And she didn't like that?
She didn't.
Wow.
No, she took offence to it.
So she took offence to you being a gentleman?
Yes.
Or sorry, to even be polite?
Yes.
Yeah. So she still took it as you're a toxic masculine?
Yeah.
That's toxic masculinity?
Yeah.
So then,
because I was making her less than me by offering her a chair.
All right. So then when you sat down, did you go, okay, you can fuck off now?
No, I didn't sit down. I just stayed up and thought, I'm not conceding my position or my values.
Man. This is the interesting part. I mean, I don't know. I will get up for a person. Like, seriously, I will get up for a person, male or female, if I find them struggling. If they're struggling and I can see that they want to have a seat and maybe they're a bit fragile in their feet, you know, I will get up for them. But I do notice that there are a lot of people that will just go, "No, my chair, mate. I was first. I'm not getting up for anyone."
First in best dress sort of mentality these days.
It's an interesting mentality. I wonder what's going to happen in the next 30, 40 years. Like, I won't be around. Oh, maybe I will. So let's go 30 years. I'll be my father's age. I'll be 90. I'll still be doing this, standing here, holding up the bench here.
With out-of-date phones.
With out-of-date phones. I imagine the technology back in the next 10 years.
I know, you won't have to set anything up.
The Aussie 1970 says, that Peter Bronx sidetrack reminds me of the men's pubs at the ladies' lounges. Yes. Remember there was the men's area. Wasn't
and the
it?
ladies' lounge, off to
lounge.
the side, away from the general bar.
Wow.
Where the ladies could sit and have their shandies.
That's so funny, the shandies. And I think I did hear something that they have to have a VIP lounge, or they have to have a lounge area. Okay. You have to have a lounge area in a pub because you can't just have poker machines without a lounge area. So you can't just have the pokies there. You've got to provide a lounge area. And maybe that is where we've all gone wrong. Like, why can't we just play the pokies and, you know? So I don't know.
That's it. Nothing could go wrong there.
Just got this comment here that says, you've got to treat everybody with respect.
Yes.
If you get disrespect, if someone disrespects you, do you better yourself than that and go, you know what, I'm not going to be like Gerald. I'm not going to be like the G-Man here, and I'm going to tell that person that just disrespect. I was trying to be a gentleman, and G-Man says, fuck off then. I'm not going to be that. Do you raise your standards and go, I'm better than that? I'm just going to keep showing them respect.
It does take a fair bit to wind me up these days.
Does it?
Yeah. So, I think I would take that slightly higher road there, and I wouldn't wind up. Yeah.
You're still young.
My medication's good.
It's good. Give me some of that stuff. No, that's good. I mean, but you're still young. You see, I think actually, my father, for example,
I'm not bitter and twisted.
No, 91. My father's 91. Yeah. And I'll talk to him about some stuff, and I'll be saying something like, he says to me, "Who are you going to work with this week?" And I'll say, I don't know where I am. I might say I'm going to be with the council. He goes, bloody council. He doesn't care. He don't go, what's wrong with him? He goes, they don't close the bin lid. I go, wow, he doesn't care anymore.
They're on his hit list because they're on
his hit list. But he shuffles out there, he gets out there and, I have to close the bin lid. It's too funny. All right, what do we got? Producer, give me some more questions. What do we got here? Good one, G-Man, always vacate a seat for those that need it. I think you're right. Okay. I think everyone's right. They know. I'm going to give it to someone that needs it, not because that they're a woman.
Exactly right.
But how does that sound?
Yeah, and that's what I would do. Yeah, and my 3 kids I know would do the same thing.
Yeah.
They've been brought up with those values, and I know people pick on the younger generation, but
I think if a woman wants a seat, I've got 2 laps. Pick a lap. I got one for you I got one for you. Come and sit
You're
down.
a generous man.
That's that toxic masculinity coming
That's
out.
it right there.
That's why nobody joins this channel. Nobody wants to know. They just
That's why it hasn't gone mainstream yet.
no, I would never get on the project, would I?
No.
Would I ever get onto me and Lisa Wilkinson? Would I ever be on that project there? Somebody here just writes, Josie says, the good old days. The good old days were good, weren't they?
They were good.
Give me your favourite memory of being a rapscallion, being a bloke just doing something naughty, you know, nearly ending up in jail. You must. Everyone's got a story.
Everyone's got those stories. Yeah, I don't know if I want to go into those. My kids will probably watch this.
That's the reason they want to go, because don't your kids all go, you know, oh gee, you know, I scored 9,000 on a gaming, and you go, Jesus, like not you scored that on gaming, mate. What we used to do is climb flagpoles, steal the Australia flag, and we used to go running naked down Main Street and Burke Street and wherever.
Yeah,
we won't go there.
Yeah.
Sounds to me that you don't want to do that. Aussie 1970 says, gee man, what if there's 3 ladies?
Man, I just think we'll let the audience, more imagination wander.
Let the audience. That's too funny. Oh gosh, 3-seat G-man. See, now I'm thrown. I don't know.
There's the next channel that you start.
I don't know. It's just too funny. So where to from here? Where does Paul go from here? Not as in you get in your car and you're going. You only live 10 minutes up the road, don't you, or something?
Yeah. Bundy's not that big.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I need to get
10
to
minutes
Eidsvold.
get you anywhere.
I need to get to Eidsvold. Apparently, this river here, the Burnett River,
Yeah, start swimming.
it goes all the way up to Eidsvold.
It does. Yeah, have a couple of weirs to climb over, but yeah, you can get there.
While I'm here, is there like a charter boat there? I'm thinking
Charter
that-
boat? What charter boat?
Why is it Australians every time we say that it's charter boat? What charter boat? Is there a hire company where I could go and hire a charter boat?
There used to be, but I haven't heard anything about them in a long time. Because there used to be river cruises that left from exactly here at the bottom of this little wharf here.
Yeah.
But it closed down.
Clearly, it's a cafe now.
COVID killed it.
COVID.
Bloody COVID.
Bloody COVID. So, because I'd like to, you know, I'm going to be here for 5 days. Like, seriously, 5 days in Thunderbird. Mate, he's doing my head in. And I'd like to be able to one afternoon just head out on a, but there's no cruises. Nothing happens now.
No, you can get out to Lady Musgrave, but there's nothing just through this little
so
bit
where's
of the river
Lady
here.
Musgrave? So I've got to get to the ocean side.
Yes, yeah, so follow the river down and up the Port Marina there. There's cruises that go out to Lady Musgrave and Lady Elliot Island.
What's there?
Don't know, never been there.
You're joking.
It's one of those stories where you live in a place and would you believe I've never been to the rum distillery?
Oh, isn't that just there?
Yeah.
Is it there? That way?
Yeah, just down there. You could probably spit there from here. Yeah.
You've never been to the rum distillery?
Not since it's been redone. I went through it as a kid in primary school on excursion. Great excursion. Let's go to the rum distillery and breathe the fumes. Yeah. So
that's interesting, isn't it?
But since it's been done up into the big tourism venue, I haven't been there.
That's interesting. I worked on the Whitsundays for like 7 years, and I never went on a helicopter flight out to Whitehaven Beach.
Yep.
And then I've been up there recently, and I've done 2 helicopter flights. I think 3 helicopter flights. It's incredible, and yet I had everything at my foot. People used to say, "Come on my helicopter, we're going out." And I go, "I got helicopter friends." Nah, I'm good. It's weird, isn't it?
It is. Being
out at the reef, you know, people say, "I live in the Whitsundays, you must go to the reef." Nah, bores me shitless. Seeing fish underwater, I can do that on a TV.
Yeah.
I could watch Nemo. Why would I want to go there? And then you're just going, you're missing out on life.
Yeah, just around the corner.
What do we got here? I don't know. Somebody's talking about they got nice deodorant. That's why they're degenerates, man. Seriously, you and I could have this wonderful conversation that we're having, and here they are talking amongst themselves and going, "How's your deodorant?" "Oh, mine's great. It's a little bit itchy." They talk amongst themselves.
The white stains. I hate the white stains.
I don't know why we do that. Here we go. A friend will bring you bail. A real mate will be in the cell next to you saying, "Wasn't it fun last night?" That's so true, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, men have fun. I think women have outings. They have nice outings. They go shopping.
The sad bit is that we don't remember a lot of that fun, though. Because of what it involves.
That's why now when I go out, I always do a FOIA request, so a Freedom of Information request to all the cameras that are around the place. And I just ask them, okay, between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m., can I just have the footage There's G.
I'll edit it.
I'll edit it. I'll work it out. Don't worry about that. Don't hand it to the police or anything. Kookaburra says, I was born and raised in Sydney and never been in the Opera House.
Hey! Shh, don't tell anyone that one.
Wow.
Hey.
Born and raised in Sydney and you haven't been to the Opera House. That's sacrilege.
It is.
That's like saying I was born and raised as a pope and I've never been to the Vatican. That's crazy. Let's go a couple more questions and then we'll slowly start to finish up. PC says, I'm not a typical woman.
Ah.
I think we need to ask more questions with that.
Yes, we do. Ball's in your court, PC.
Ball is in her court, maybe. Maybe she doesn't want to go there. I have no idea. All right, mates. I think people have, they're running. Hang on. Pub Test is saying, as a baby, oh God, we're going way back. Pub Test is saying, as a baby, I was the first person thrown out of the Opera House for making too much noise. As a baby.
Yeah.
Like, as a baby.
That's a claim to fame, though, isn't it?
Like, seriously, how up themselves are they when they turn to the parents and they go, your baby's making...
You and your baby out.
You need to go.
Yeah.
You're making too much noise. It's a baby. But I guess, what's your baby's name? Pub Test. We need to get him out. He's not doing good. Mate, I've had a great time talking to you, and I just love having these little conversations that we have. So let's just wrap up with Marcus Mission. If you were to say that there are people, say, here in Bundaberg watching this,
I'll spread the word.
Spread the word. If there's some people around in Bundaberg, you know, in the region or close by, even Gingin, isn't it? Like,
yeah, Gingin, Childers.
Childers, yeah. What message would you give them? Like, if they're having that little struggle and they're kind of like got that little voice in their head, and they're saying something like, I've been to men's groups, I don't know, they're just too impersonal for me.
Now, these are definitely not impersonal.
Yeah, they're not.
These are blokes being real blokes and engaging with each other, and working on some real tools.
Yeah.
I mean, they are, some of them are. No.
Yeah.
They're working on tools that they can use on a day-to-day basis to just help them cope with the shit that sometimes hits them in life.
That's good. And I think it takes a bit of courage also, you know, to make the move and then walk into and just sit there, and you don't have to participate, do you?
No.
You just sit,
just come and test the waters and
observe, and listen.
And I suppose one of the real advantages of Marcus Mission is the blokes that run the workshops, the facilitators, are blokes that have walked the walk. We've all been on that side of life where, you know, things have got pretty dark. Yeah. And, you know, so it's, we know where blokes are coming from when they show up.
It's interesting because part of the program is that not only do you have people, and you just correct me with this one here, you've had some people that would sit in amongst the group, tell their stories, get some good companionship around, and then they want to become mentors.
Yes.
That's happened too, has it?
That happens, yeah. Blokes, you know, sit through the series of workshops that we do and do some extra training and become mentors, and then work with other blokes to help them, you know, get life just tracking the way they want it to again. Yeah. And, you know, some of those connections you make are just bloody fantastic. I mean, a week ago today, I was actually sitting on a boat out in the river there with two other blokes from Marcus Mission.
No way.
Who'd just shown up to the meeting, you know, a couple of days before, and said, let's go sit in the boat and have a chat.
Fantastic.
And so, and that's, those incidental, you know, little sidelines that you get from Marcus Mission where blokes can just get together and talk. And
it's interesting when you talked about old school. Old school used to be we get the village to raise the child, or to raise the community and to create a community. It doesn't happen a lot now, does it?
No, and it's, you know, with the inventive social media and all that sort of thing, people are becoming more distant from each other.
They are.
So it's really nice to see people face-to-face engaging again.
Yeah, and I think something like this where you and I are having a chat, you know, we're sitting in front of a camera, you know, and this will, the word will spread. You know, the word will get out, and if you would spread this to some people who are sitting at home and they're going, kind of like going, you know, what's waffles and whiskey? And it's really all about what waffles and whiskey is about. Why I started is because I do all the waffling, as you can tell. Yeah. And my 91-year-old father, who was 89 when I started this, you know, used to sit back and he used to say, I want to see you more, because I don't see him. He's in Sydney, I'm in, you know, in the greater Brisbane area. And he says, I don't get to see you. So it was a great opportunity for me just to read the news out to him. And it's just kind of developed from there, where we read the news, we look at the chats, we talk to people who
talk about events,
things that are happening. you know, we have lots of laughs, you know, lots of laughs. And of course we, you know, it's just a matter of getting people to say, hey, there's another medium, rather than listening to that mainstream shit that's going on every day.
Yep.
Just have a different perspective and have a laugh about it, you know, because
Yeah,
that's what it's
exactly.
about. You got to have a laugh.
No, it's fantastic.
Mate, I loved having a chat
Oh,
to
I
you.
loved it too, mate.
Mate, it's
Good
so
on you.
good.
This is
So,
fantastic.
I think the best thing is that the people that are watching this, if you wouldn't mind, share this far and wide to anyone that you think could maybe, I don't know, benefit from just the words that we've had here to say, look, we had a bit of an ebb and a flow here. It started off, it's like, wow, this is pretty heavy. And we had a lot of laughs.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we're going to, you know, rumble in the back here in a minute. But if anyone can feel that they need to send this to other people, I'd love your support, you know, and I'm sure Paul's going to be sending this out to all of his mates. And, of course, I'm going to be on tomorrow at the same time that I was on here today. So if you're late to the party because you're in the US and it's like 3 o'clock in the morning over there, and you're now getting to see this. I'm going to be on tomorrow at the same time, 5:30 Australian Eastern Queensland time. So lock it in. I'll see you tomorrow. And from all of us here at Waffles and Whiskey, I never do that. I never do that. I know from all of us here at Waffles and Whiskey, may we wish you an honourable and a successful 2023. I've never said that shit. I don't know why I'm saying it. You see, if I was recording this, I'd cut that shit out. I have no idea what I just said. That was just bullshit. Producer, can we cut that out? Is that possible to cut that shit out, what I just said? I have no idea what I just said. Anyway.
I love it. What an epic finish.
What a great finish. Paul, nice to meet you.
Yeah, you
That's
too,
great.
mate. Thank you so much for that.
I want to do this again. Next time I'm coming up, you're taking me out on that boat.
Excellent. I'll organise one for you.
All right, mate. Thanks very much. Thanks,
Too
producer. Thanks for giving me a hand. Cheers, mate. You can go now.